Greetings. In this series, we are still responding to those stupid in the West who are attacking Islam. And now we are talking about a woman named Gabriel who spoke so many lies in her meeting with Jimmy Swaggart, an evangelist in the US. She said in her meeting with Jimmy, when Palestinians came, Muslims became larger in number and declared jihad. Well, first of all, this ignorant woman, she knows for a fact that almost 1/3 of the Palestinians who came to Lebanon are Christians. Not all the Palestinians were Muslim. That's number one. And one of the major parties, fighting organization among the Palestinians is called Shabiya Front, led by a Christian, George Habash. His name is George. 1/3 of the Palestinians were Christians who came to Lebanon. But anyway, that's not why, Muslims, got larger in number. And they did not fight the Christians because the Christians are Christians and the Muslims are Muslims. That's a big lie, she said. All right, we'll talk about that because it comes in the video next. Okay, so when the Muslims, because of the Palestinian Muslims, they became larger in number. They started to say, let us take over this country. Let us take over this country. And she said they used our democracy to topple our government, to do away with our government, Lebanese government. All our lies. All our lies. I'll tell you why. First of all, the Palestinians, the Lebanese did receive the Palestinians with open arms. And they were so kind, so nice to them, no doubt. But, one thing, that she did not mention, that there were something called refugee camps, Palestinian refugee camps, all over Lebanon, even in the Christian areas, a small camp or two. And in the northern part of Lebanon, close to the borders of Syria, and in the southern part, Sidon, had a big camp. And in Beirut, the neighborhood, the outskirt of Beirut, the capital, there was another refugee camp. There were camps, Palestinian camps. Those Palestinians came since 1948, not just before the Civil War, as she tried to lie and say. That she said the third wave, okay, maybe she's right. But anyway, Palestinians were there even before the third wave she speaks about were kicked from Jordan and they came to Lebanon. Even before that, Palestinians lived, since 48 in Lebanon, when they were facing death at the hand of the stupid terrorist Israelis. They ran to every other country in the neighborhood. All right. So she said that the Palestinians, they used to write on the walls, some sentences about their dreams, what they dream about. And she didn't understand. Her people, because they are civilized, she didn't understand. And she didn't believe that they will really apply what the threats, that they write on the walls. And, that those that will they abuse their tolerance and their democracy. Okay. Then she proceeded to say that the Palestinians tried to make Lebanon a base to fight Israel, which, they failed in Jordan, so they came to try in Lebanon, and also to create some kind of resistance that will spread through the world from Lebanon. Of course, that's a lie. in the matter of fact, the Palestinians never did that. They launched, some stupid, primitive missiles, against Israel. That's the best they can do. And sometimes they go in, a small group of Palestinians will go inside, Palestine and attack the Israelis. And the number of those operations were very minimal, very few. But those who really were serious about forming a front to fight the Israelis were the Lebanese themselves, like Hezbollah. And they are arming themselves, to be able to stand against this stupid terrorist Israelis who are armed by the West with the best arsenals in the world. So all what she is saying are lies. Now, she claimed in her meeting with Jimmy Swaggart that Muslims, all Muslims, all the Muslims, have one thing on their mind: to establish Khilafah through the whole world. They want to establish Khilafah, rule of Muslim rule, and Sharia of Islam, to spread through the whole world. This is what she lies and says. And she calls it a holy war. That Muslims are going to have a holy war against the world to establish the Khilafah and Sharia law of Islam. And she said they are not hiding it. They are speaking out loud. You can hear them. This is what they say. She is not making any of this stuff. Well, no, she is lying. She is lying. There are some Muslims, and their numbers is very few, that are seeking, or hoping for Khilafah. They do not understand the reality of the situation. That it's not only impossible, but extremely impossible and extremely ridiculous. We don't have even one country with a majority of Muslims that can defeat the NATO, or only the US, or France, or England, or Germany. So how do you expect them to spread Sharia law and Khilafat, Islamic ruleship? I mean, those few can speak all kind of nonsense and ignorance, but shame not on them, but shame on those who believe them from the West and repeat after them. Don't you have any brain to think? Is that feasible? Do you have a Muslim country today that acquires the necessary force to defeat the NATO and launch a holy war against the Christians and the West? Well, perhaps your brains are rusted because you don't use so much. So that's expected anyway. Very well. We'll continue next time.